Chapter 13. 1 a.m. UTC-6, 8 a.m. UTC+1. Did I miss anything interesting? It took me a moment to realize the words came not from Jeremy in the police prefecture, but from Jordan, fresh from a nap in the back seat. Oh, not much. Just veering wildly around a shredded tire which would have launched us into hyperspace if we'd hit it, replied Tyler with a grin, looking into the rear-view mirror. Jordan and Tyler traded barbs back and forth about the tire incident. I yawned. My body was tired in this time of existence. At 1:20 early Sunday, we entered the city limits of Swift Current. At 1:32 I said, "Later," and exited the car. The snow crunched underfoot as I walked toward my apartment building. I bounded up the stairs and entered my home. Feels like forever since I've been here. In chronological time, it had only been about 7 hours, but in my experience of time, it had been almost 48 hours. I ate a snack and prepared for bed, but my mind went back to Paris. How on earth can I sleep with all that rolling around my head? Once I turned off the light, I prayed, not about Paris, but for the people in my life. Got really sleepy. The throb of jet engines was there to greet my sense of hearing as my inner being was sucked out of Sunday, through Monday, sleeping, and into the same hour of Tuesday. I checked the display in front of me. Lufthansa 1026, soon to arrive at Charles de Gaulle Airport. Almost immediately, the public address system informed passengers that descent had begun. At 8:20 a.m. local time, the tires of the airliner belched black as they touched down on the runway, and the German plane started taxiing toward Gate 63 of Terminal 1. When permission to disembark was given at 8:29, 1:29 back at home, I retrieved my carry-on bag. I shuffled off the airplane with the other passengers. I moved through Satellite 6 of Terminal 1 and through a connecting tunnel to the main building. I found the correct luggage carousel and waited until my bag appeared on the belt. At 8:54 I sat on a bench. I needed to find a way to get to the city itself, but before doing that I wanted to simply wait until the hourly day skip. What's coming up for me in the next few minutes is important, and also in the 2 following days. May I have the wisdom, courage, and strength to do what is needed. While I waited, my mind replayed the Montrouge incident in which a police officer had died. I re-entered Wednesday with my body sitting in the dining area of the Hotel International. A few bites of breakfast lay on the table, a swallow or two in a cup. I finished the meal and cleaned off the table. I knew what dangled in front of me, a call to French police to inform them of the impending Charlie Hebdo attack. Now that it had come to it, I felt worried and reluctant to do the task. "Don't be a fool, Kyle," I muttered under my breath. "You know you have to try." I realized 2 nearby people in the breakfast area had heard my self-talk. They regarded me curiously as I stood by the dirty dishes. Embarrassment provided the motivation to propel myself toward the elevator. The doors opened, the floor was selected, and I was pulled skyward. "This is it," I said when I entered my room. I took my phone and sat on a chair. It was at that point I realized I didn't know which number to call. I groaned. An internet search for the phone number provided no readily helpful information. Is 911 active in France? No phone book could be found in the hotel room. And so I went back into the hallway, down the elevator, and to the front desk. "Excuse me, how can I contact the National Police?" I inquired. The clerk looked at me questioningly, but didn't raise any objections. She found the information and wrote the number on a slip of paper. I headed back to the room. "This is taking too long. If a movie is ever made about this week of my life, would this be a light-hearted comedic scene?" The time registered as 8:30 a.m. Paris time. It was 1:30 a.m. in my Canadian home. I punched the numbers into the phone. A female voice on the line stated in French that I'd reached the Police Nationale. "Pourrais parler en anglais?" I stammered. I didn't feel I could express myself adequately in French for this particular conversation. The voice on the other end sounded annoyed at my question and answered with a stiff, "Attendez." Pleasant music played while I waited. Another voice, male, gruff, and heavily accented, came on. "Yes, what do you have to say?" I swallowed. "I want to report that a terrorist attack on the Charlie Hebdo magazine office will take place later this morning." Unnerving silence followed. Then, "Are you part of the group planning the attack?" I was surprised. "No, definitely not." "So how do you know this? Have you overheard someone talking about their plans? Have you seen them loading weapons into a vehicle?" "I don't believe this. Is this the stereotypical French brush-off you hear about?" "No, neither of those," I answered. "We receive many tips about attacks on that magazine, monsieur," countered the voice sarcastically. "Charlie Hebdo's provocative nature invites many people to threaten action against it, but obviously most of those people never act on their words. We cannot respond to each muttered Charlie threat. So let me ask you again, how do you know about this attack?" I felt beads of sweat gathering on my forehead. My imagination, formed by watching television and movies, painted pictures in my mind of other police officers in the background saying, "Keep him on the line a little longer. We've almost traced the call." So with growing anxiety I blurted, "I know this from a policeman I am acquainted with." Jeremy had spoken with me of the Charlie Hebdo attack. "Why is this policeman not reporting the attack? What's his name?" I didn't know how to answer. In a moment or two the police agent on the line snorted. "This line is for serious calls, monsieur." "Wait, the last name of the attackers is—" I shouted, but a click sounded in my ear. "Hello? Hello?" But the line was silent. In disgust I threw the phone onto the bed. The time was now 8:49. I knew that I needed to prepare myself to day-skip back to Montrouge, but frustration with the non-response to the tip diverted me into an uncaring shallowness. I started to play a video game on my phone, soul hungering for even the false success of a pixelated world. Digital sounds of dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, glorp, 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 blue wrong. Sitting in one day's 8 a.m. hour, sitting in the next day's 8 a.m. hour. Of course, that's the 1 a.m. hour back home. These sarcastic comments sounded inside my mind as I emerged from the day-skip and took in the situation. I was propped against a vehicle in Montrouge. The sounds of chaos echoed around me, people shouting, tending to the wounded, tending to the terrorized. I heard sirens approaching. Two realities entered simultaneously into consciousness: disgust at the just experienced brush-off from an unhelpful police agent, and the knowledge, obtained from Jeremy, that I hadn't been at the scene of the policewoman shooting when other police arrived. Both of those realities compelled me to leave. So before another moment passed, I stood. No one seemed to notice me. Quickly, I exited the scene and headed down the side street of Avenue de la Paix. I walked steadily, not rushing, in hopes of avoiding attention. I knew exactly where to go. A few minutes' walk took me back to Rue Gabriel Péry. I passed that very spot earlier on my way to attempt to save a policewoman. But wait, I reminded myself, I guess I did save her partner. That helped. A police car suddenly came screaming down the street. The officer took no notice of me as the car passed by. Phew! At 8:13 I reached the car rental agency I passed earlier. It was now open for business, and I entered. The first item which drew my attention was the TV monitor hanging from the ceiling of the office. The attention of the youthful agent at the desk was also fixated there. The news report detailed the previous day's Charlie Hebdo terrorist act. Nothing about the policewoman's murder yet. The clerk seemed to become aware of me. "Bonjour, comment puis-je vous aider?" I answered in English. "I'd like to rent a car for the day." "Yes," came the reply, likewise in English. "What would you like?" After discussing ideas, I waited while the agent checked his computer. My eyes wandered back to the TV monitor. The broadcast showed smartphone video of the scenes outside the Charlie Hebdo headquarters after the attack. I shivered as I watched the footage of the masked Kouachi brothers. "I think I have what you need, sir," reported the rental agent. The next minutes saw the rental arrangements completed. When the agent went to retrieve the vehicle, a blue Renault Clio, I allowed my attention to drift back to the TV monitor. The commentary focused again on recordings from witnesses' smartphones. I felt like I was getting an idea. The Clio arrived in front of the office. "You may want to head east, sir," the agent advised when he came in. "I see a lot of emergency vehicles a few blocks west on Avenue Pierre Brossolette. That way will probably be blocked for hours." I thanked him for the advice and accepted the keys to the Clio. It was 8:32 when I slipped into the driver's seat. I'm glad they drive on the right side of the road in this country, like home. I took a breath. Next step. I need to get to the service station before the robbery. But in dismay, I realized I didn't know the service station's exact location, just that it was generally northeast of the city. An ambulance and another police car passed by. I have got to leave before this area is shut down. So I made a quick decision. I will start toward the northeast of the city. At least I'll be going in the right direction. I can ask Jeremy in my next day skip exactly where the service station is. I brought up the map application on my phone and discovered Paris's ring road, Boulevard Périphérique, was near. Putting the car into gear, I drove ahead for a short distance to the intersection with Avenue de la République, then turned left. 2 long blocks later, I took the on-ramp for Boulevard Périphérique. It was now 8:45. Traffic on the ring road was moderate. At 8:53, I passed over the Seine. You've got to get off the freeway, Kyle. Look for an exit. At 8:56, I took an off-ramp into a district called Les Arcades. I found a parking lot, switched off the car engine, and waited for the day skip. My eyes focused on my phone, which lay flat on the table in front of me. Jeremy sat across the table and glanced up. He too had been staring at the time display. It read 8 a.m., Friday, January 9th. We sat in a lunchroom in the prefecture of the Police Nationale. Jeremy, I started before the police agent could speak. I'm back, and I need to know something. The precise location of the service station the Kouachi brothers held up. The Frenchman guessed the reason. You're on your way there in this hour yesterday? I nodded. Yes, I've rented a car and have started driving, but I don't know where I need to go. Jeremy understood. Okay, it was an Avia service station on the N2, a major highway, just west of the village of Villers-Cotterêts, northeast of Paris. I used the map application to search for the village. There, said Jeremy, pointing to the village on the display. Zoom in and we can find the service station itself. I did so and switched to a street view showing the building. Jeremy confirmed that was the place. Okay, now how far did you get in your rental car? I found the place, then used the app to plot a route between the 2 points. You must memorize this, coached Jeremy. It wasn't hard. I had a good head for directions. Jeremy switched the topic. Tell me what happened when you tried to alert us, the police, about the Charlie Hebdo attack. I related to him the entire frustrating phone conversation with the police agent. Jeremy frowned. Well, this explains why nothing is known to us about the tip. It was dismissed as inconsequential. Although it would be useful to go through the voice records and discover which agent made an improper decision. But that will be for my superiors to decide at another time. A silence. Another question. Jeremy, when the Kouachi brothers robbed the service station, well, they didn't injure anyone there, right? Jeremy shook his head. Correct. They injured no one. But don't be foolish in your actions just because of that. And you're sure I didn't tell you how I got Koulibaly's phone number from them? It seemed so impossible. Jeremy again just shook his head. I sure wish I told you. It worries me. Jeremy looked thoughtful. I think you should not worry too much about the phone number. I guess that the opportunity will present itself, but it may call you to be bold in your actions. Not foolish, just bold. I smirked. I think I will need to do some more praying to find boldness. Jeremy sat back in his chair. There you go again, talking of your religion. I shrugged. It's hard for me not to talk about it. My faith in God is central to my life, and boy, am I glad in times like this that it is. Jeremy seemed about to reply when his phone rang. Oui, ici Blanc, he answered. He listened. Je viendrai immédiatement, he indicated, then turned his phone off and stood. Kyle, I am called away. You may stay here for now. If anyone inquires, tell them you're with me, and they can contact me if they need. I'm not certain how long this will be. I'll let you know. I nodded. Sure, go. Police Nationale agent Jeremy Blanc departed the lunchroom. I sighed and went to refill my coffee cup. I checked the time, 8:45 a.m. People are sound asleep back home, 1:45 a.m. there. What should I do now? I would have updated my schematic. if I'd brought it from the hotel. I reviewed what would happen during the next few hours of my experience, sleeping in hospital in the 2 a.m. hour, sleeping at home, sleeping in Regina, trying to get from Charles de Gaulle to the city, then what to do next on the Charlie Hebdo attack day. Just for fun, I made sure I was in the middle of a sip of coffee when the day skip happened.